Hey guys, welcome to a recap of The Real Housewives of New York, episode 13, A Night of Swingers. And guys, I feel like this episode was all about not bullying, but picking on Jessel. I feel like Sai and Aaron, they're trying to make the show happen, they're trying to be a new hit, because we have a new group of girls. And I feel like their approach is to, kind of pick on the weakest link, who they think is Jessel. But I feel like Jessel, she is holding things down, standing up for herself. And I like how she handled this situation. Okay, so let's get into this episode. Let's get into this recap. Now, we open up the episode seeing the ladies in their day-to-day lives. And we actually open up the episode with Sai and Aaron having a phone call chat, pretty much where Sai is spilling the beans of what happened in that disastrous lunch meeting that she had with Jessel to Aaron. Of course, Aaron is ready to hear all the news about awkward Jessel. Okay, so I thought, wow, they have nothing else to cover, nothing else to talk about, and they want to make this as a storyline. So interesting enough, Sai's perspective of things is very fascinating to hear, because she shares with Aaron how Jessel was late, but Sai was also late. None of the ladies were on time to the occasion. And interesting side, she brings up how Jessel didn't even bother to call, send a text that she was going to be tardy, where her herself didn't send Jessel a text that she was tardy. Now, while these two are trying to paint Jessel as an awkward girly, we jump scene over to Jenna and Jessel having a talk. Now, Jessel went over to Jenna's home for a little lunch, and the lunch, of course, is going to be catered by a whole chef. And I'm like thinking to myself, I need friends like these. This is phenomenal. This is so bougie, and I'm living for it. Okay, so Jenna, she's being a sweet friend and a caring friend, and she actually asked Jessel how did her date night go with her husband. So of course, Jessel is happy to report and share with Jenna that she's finally been intimate with her husband, and that things have been going and moving forward, which is what ultimately what Jessel wanted the ladies to respond to her. I feel like Jessel oftentimes want the ladies to accept her. She kind of seeks validation from them. And of course, Jessel opens up about the scenario of what happened with the lunch date with Sai and how it went completely left. Okay, but I feel like Jenna, she gave really good advice to Jessel, which I feel like is also very relatable to us as an audience, to as viewers. She shares that oftentimes people, they seek validation from a person who is unable to reciprocate or give that to them. For some reason, it makes you want it more. And I thought that was an interesting point, because I feel like, Jessel, why do you need Sai to understand you so much? Like, you don't even have to relate to her situation at all. And I can see the point where Sai is frustrated because Jessel is bringing up Sai's mother, who had suffered through alcoholism, to her uncle. So you know how people feel about their mothers. It's a very sensitive topic, so I can see why Sai is upset. But the way she went about it, I don't agree per se. I feel like, there's a way that you could get a point across and not be a dead horse. I felt like what Sai is doing, and especially with Aaron, she's trying to make it a thing bigger than what it has to be, where it doesn't. And it's a bit unfortunate, because I feel like this is a missed opportunity in filming. It kind of sucks for us as viewers to have to hear this, this story over and over and over again. So I'm hoping that they move forward from it, because Jessel, she makes it very clear that she's past it. She wants to move on from it. And I think it resonates to her, the advice that Jenna gives, that this is not a thing, that let's move past this, let's go and move on. So I'm happy to hear that, at least from Jessel's side, because if Jessel makes it very clear, then of course the ladies will have to move on, because then why they're bringing it up still. When we see Sai and Aaron and their phone chat, it kind of like seemed like they were not ready to let this go. They also have another issue with Jessel, and it comes down to the situation with Jessel's husband. Now, they're so confused why Jessel's husband has to take a trip over to Vietnam by himself, just randomly like that. I just think it's just a boring storyline, and I just want them to like move on from this. So we do get to move on, and we get to see Uba, and we get to see Uba in her business life. Once again, we see Uba being a boss, focusing on, bringing up her sauce brand company, Uba Hot. Okay, so Uba Hot is a special sauce. It's her signature sauce, and we get to see her try to partner up with a restaurant called Beatnik over in New York, and we get to see her work with the chef, come up with something to put on the menu, and it was just a fun experience seeing Uba do these things. But I feel like with Uba, it's missing a little bit much more of a personal touch. I'm a little bit nosy. I want to see Uba dating. I want to see Uba not trying to sell us a product. I feel like, yes, I understand, you have to use the platform for what it is, but I do think we get to miss out a good chunk of what's personal in her life. Okay, so I feel like if we had that, I think Uba would be a perfect housewife for this whole situation. Now with Jenna, we get the complete opposite, in the sense that we get both business and personal. We get to see Jenna and her family, what's going on, her and her brand. We get a complete full package, because even if it's something so mundane like going eyeglass shopping with her son, we get to see her son, we get to see her interact, be a mother, we get to know what's going on with her family life. Now we don't get what's going on so much with her dating life. We did find out that she broke up with a lady, and she's going through a kind of like a pause where she's now out in the dating world again. But we did get to see her date onto the show, so we do get a little bit more from Jenna than we do from Uba. But I don't want to discount Uba at all. I have high hopes for Uba. Now moving on to Sai. Sai could be a good housewife, but something about it is missing for me. Something about Sai just comes off as just whining all the time. Now she does have lighthearted moments, which we did get to see in this episode, where her aunt comes over and they cook a special meal. Her aunt comes over and she cooks a special meal for the family, and they bond over her mother's memory, her mother's artwork. And we get to learn a lot about Sai, but it's just something about Sai for me. I don't know. I feel like the only time that I like Sai is when her husband is filming with her. And that leads me over to date night. So date night was supposed to include all the ladies. If they don't have a partner, they could bring a friend or someone they're talking to. So we have Sai, her husband. We have Erin and her husband, Jessel and her husband. Bryn will not be showing because she's still sick, honey. This is another episode where we don't get much Bryn. Uba, she is coming, but she runs late. And Jenna, she is unable to make it to this date night because she's over at a trip over in Scotland. Okay, so at this swingers date, the couples, they all meet up, and we first have Sai and Erin meeting up again together, and it's just like such a drag. The funny thing about Sai is that at least we get the running theme of her wanting to have food everywhere she goes. Now, since the date night was the idea of Erin, she ordered in food, so much guac, so much sides for the table, for Sai to just show up and say, oh, I ate before I got here. I feel like Sai is such a downer. She gives me downer vibes, which is why I can't get into her. But her husband is such a redeeming trait for her, because he brings the fun to the whole situation. So Sai's husband, he questions Uba and her dating life. I'm like, yes sir, you're getting the tea, the information that we want to know. And so Uba opens up a little bit, and she kind of dismissed a lot of what he was saying, but she then opens up to Sai and shares that she's been seeing someone. She shares with Sai, but she asks Sai to keep this a secret, keep this between me and her. And I'm like, wait a minute, Uba, you on a show, we're nosy, we want to know what's going on. But ultimately, this whole date night was kind of like a not so much fun of a date night, because it was all about Sai and Erin questioning Pavitt, which is Jessel's husband, about why you're going on the trip. why you guys haven't been intimate. Oh, Jessel is a liar. It was just put down by these topics. And Jessel's husband, Pavid, he held his ground. And I believe they're telling the truth. I think they're making a big deal than what it has to be. And I don't think it's their business. If Jessel is fine with the situation, then it's fine. Let's drop it. But they could not let it go for the life of them. And I was so over it. And I'm like, I do not want to be at this dinner date. Now, at the end of the date night, the husbands end up sharing what they love about their wives, and they had pretty nice things to say, but Aaron inside was very critical to what Pavitt said. So pretty much Pavitt said along the lines that Jessel allows him to be himself, to kind of have the freedom to do what he wants, and the girls, they read it into more than it has to be. Like, oh, that's not so romantic, that's just like, ugh, you just let him do whatever he wants. And I feel like Jessica doesn't have to explain to these ladies anything. So I was so happy when we had the girl talk, where after with Bryn, Jenna and Jessel had a talk, and Pavitt there over at Jessel's home. They made it really clear to Jessel that if you want Sai to stop, if you want Aaron to stop, you have to be as harsh as possible to let them know to stop. Otherwise, they will keep messing and picking on you. Jessel's husband just called Sai bipolar, and I was just so happy that the publicist Jessel corrected Pavitt to let him know, no, you gotta take that back. We're not doing that. I just love that as a moment. But overall, I just wish these ladies would stop picking on Jessel. I feel like they're picking on her every time, and I don't know why they think they can do that and think that's cute for us as viewers. But it's not cute. It's not cute. But I am looking forward to next week's episode, because we see a whole blowout where Sai really lets out her complaints, her issues, and I'm like, oof, I need to see that. So guys, I want to know what you guys think. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, share as much kindness as possible. Bye guys.